Hello and welcome to Busy Healing episode 16. Today we're going to talk about tea leaf readings. It actually should be called tea leaves readings, but somehow it's called tea leaf reading, so I didn't dare to change the title. And there's obviously a million and one ways of doing this, and I just want to show you why it was done or is done and why it is so important to do this as close as possible to the original idea of it. So how this works is that tea leaves obviously come from nature, and nature talks to us because we are part of nature. So it is a natural connection that allows us to find out things for people, and it's not about people. You're not trying to find out something that gives you an advantage. You're trying to look at their life and then deduct where it goes wrong. So it was always meant as help, if that makes sense. And the reason why it was not done by common people is because they didn't quite understand what to look for. This has to do with high spirituality, really, in understanding symbolism, in which elders, for instance, were really trained in. So one of the things that logically speaking needed to happen is to understand that guides are older than words. So they speak in symbolism. And I will just show you how this was done in the best possible way, because you can bring this into the 21st century, no problem at all. So the idea is, or the belief is, that it must have originated in Asia. The idea is that it originated in China, but then it spread throughout the whole world. And then as countries do, they all added something and did different things with it. For instance, in Turkey, they really didn't do tea leaf readings as such. They actually used coffee and waited until it was fully settled and then read it. And what the Turkish also added is, usually you have this 1 cup and you put in the tea, and then you look out for what you perceive as symbols and forms and shapes, and then try to, in a way, look at them and translate them into what it means. The Turkish would use this, and then the lower half would be the past and the upper half would be the future. Well, it's a bit of a difficult thing to predict the future because your future, as far as I'm concerned, is not written, simply because you have free will. What is written is what we call cornerstone events. So there are things where the guides think if you get there somehow, they will help you with your spiritual growth. And I'm just going to talk you through how this would usually be done by elders and the likes. So the idea is as follows: you always should be using or should use ornamented cups and mugs and stuff. Plain stuff works too, but because in symbolism and there's in artistry, it is done with love and intention. It is said to therefore higher the energy, and thus make it easier to be actually read. So you actually get more when you do a little ritual, if that makes sense. And you can see there's a little incense stick here. All these things add to being able to read it. And then also in the 21st century, what a lot of people do is they do this for a group of people just to show them how it is done. And to make it easy, they usually, obviously, boil the kettle. And so what would happen is you would always reboil the water for the next person. And it is the reboiling of the water that means that the same water boiled over and over again loses its original strength. So the idea is to never reboil water. And then also, so usually you would boil water over a pot, right? Nothing sort of kettle-like, and then use it for one person. And also, if you put it into or boil it in a pot, you would put it into something proper. So there's different things that you could be using. What I've been using for a while that works quite well is Chinese tea. So what I do actually most of the time, I actually combine the Turkish version, reading the lower half as the past and the upper half as the now. And what I notice is once you have a name for who you actually read it and you put it in, the lower half seems to be less populated by leaves. And sometimes when you see that it's the other way around, that just means that in the now, whoever is the person that needs to be read or wants to be read, they're just busy. So, but what you do is you would change the little thing here, I don't know what it's called, cup, and so that you would read the past first. So I'll show you how this is done. This is just what is called gunpowder tea. Right? You get this in virtually every Chinatown, so to speak, and every little, it's quite readily available. But they are loose leaves, and what you do is you put them into one of those containers. Obviously we have to speed this up. Usually what happens is when you put the water in the olden days you would actually put it into one of these and then put the tea in with that, and then they would drink it, and then what would remain is the leaves. But it can be a bit dodgy, if that makes sense. Right? So you are perfectly entitled to change this because your intention is to read the tea leaves. And sometimes, just like I do now, because I'm reading these for myself, if that makes sense, I put a little more in. Right? And it might be actually too much. So this is what I do. It's already boiled. I put it in. Fill it to the brim. And then what you would do, obviously we can't do this because of the video, you would wait. So here it settles, right? Okay. And then what I do in order to sort of speed this up in a way, because my intention is just as important as the leaves. So because there's still water now in the mug, it can actually become a problem because it doesn't really settle. So what I do is, I take it out, right? Put it into this small container, and then wait for it to be somewhat cool. And this one can now be disposed of because that's used. And now I'm going to stop the video because I have to wait until it's a little less hot and then we do the rest. So what I did, I put it this way and then let the tea fall out. And then what I can see already here is that this is my past because it is more populated than my now, if that makes sense, right? So the idea now would be is to understand symbolism. I work with animal guides a lot and their symbolism. So what it means is that if I look at my tea, very likely they will show me animal shapes, things I understand, whose messages I understand. And they would do the same for people who work with angelic beings and the likes. Hi doggy, you can probably hear the doggy. So this is basically all I want to show you today. What I leave you with is a little still that tells you what you need to do this yourself. Remember, you will probably this is not a party game, and you will probably just do this and not really read anything. It makes sense to really ask your guides for guidance and learn symbolism. But this is a very powerful tool to find out where in your past you haven't made progress, what your old issues are, or maybe what in the future, or in your now rather, has shifted, right? So all these are important things, and that's all we have time for. See you next time.